Hey, what's up, YouTube? All right, so as you know, the elections are coming up in a couple days, and you know, it's still an open question whether or not it will be a blue wave or if it will be um, a blue trickle, which just shows again the complete ineptitude of the Democratic Party. That this is even an open question. Like we're literally running against the easiest crop of Republicans that have ever been in power, running on the most abysmal policies. But because of Democratic failures, it's still an open question as to whether or not they're going to win. Um, but anyway, I made this video to discuss the issue of jobs. And this is actually one of the key themes about this election cycle because you got Trump and the Republicans running on this idea that the economy is fantastic. You know, that they have record unemployment, record this, blah, 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 blah. You all know the talking points. I'm not have to rehash them. But I want to talk more broadly on this issue of jobs because I know even people like Kyle Kuklinski believes that protectionism, being anti-free trade and against NAFTA, is good for the economy in somehow, and that they blame NAFTA and everything for the reason why we are where we are today, and that's partly true. But the problem is, I think, is that we're living in a changing world, and a world where technology is constantly improving. And I think that people have never really sat down, and there's never really been any planning on the part of our elected officials to account for the changes that we're naturally going through as a human race. So, what do I mean by that? I used to work for Peterbilt Motor Company, and we used to build semi trucks, right? Back in the days, like 20, 30 years ago, right? It used to take about a factory of 100 plus guys working 3 shifts a week in order to produce one truck in 1 week, right? Sorry, in order to produce one truck, and it took about 2 weeks to a month to produce one truck. Nowadays, you can produce a semi truck from start to finish in 6 hours. From a week to a month, depending on parts, to 6 hours. Okay? That's one of the key reasons why the jobs are disappearing. It's because technology has changed. We still, there was a time when you never had stuff like airplanes. You never had high speed data communication. I mean, something simple like email has completely obliterated the postal service. And yes, the Republicans and their agenda of trying to kill the postal service is not helping them. But the world is changing, and it's never going to change back. And it doesn't matter how much protectionism you try, it doesn't matter if you repeal NAFTA, it doesn't matter if you kill this, that. It's not going to solve the problem. So the question is, what exactly is the solution? And my solution is that we have to recognize the world for what it is, not for what we want it to be, or recognize the world. We have to take an honest look at where we are as a people. And we have to understand that instead of trying to go back to the days of the 1930s or post World War II, 1940s, early 50s, instead, what we need to be doing is trying to create a new future and to create a educated populace that's strong enough and resilient enough to be able to survive in this new system. So, what does that mean? All right, the first thing that we need as a society is to do Medicare for all. If you get rid of the burden of businesses having to provide healthcare for their employees because you have Medicare that covers that, that's a massive, massive burden that you're taking off the shoulders of startup companies, right? Who has to hire more than 5 employees. So that's the first thing. The second thing that you can do is free public and tuition free education all the way up to college level. And once you do that and you have a highly educated populace, now you increase the odds of people who, they went to school, they got their education in engineering, but now rather than going to go work for a corporation that's disappearing, now you have a guy that goes and starts a business. You know, I feel like there needs to be more government grants into civilian research. That has been proven time and time again to be the biggest benefit to society. I mean, just take a look at NASA, for instance. NASA gets so much hate from the right wing and from people who don't understand. But literally, every single airplane that's in the sky right now uses hardware that was developed by NASA. NASA, by Kennedy doing the space program, pretty much revolutionized mechanical engineering forever. We're still using software and technology and design and methodologies that the team that was trying to get to space developed. We're using that every single day. And I feel like that's where the focus needs to be. It needs to be on free healthcare, free education, investment in civilian research, etc. We're not going to out manufacture China, no matter what we try. We're not going to out China. But we can become the world's innovate leader when it comes on to innovation. And I feel like that's where we need to be trying to go as a people. We need to be transitioning to the next generation, to move off fossil fuels, to go to green and renewable technology. That will open up a ton of jobs. Like, all right, let me give you a quick example of a project. What if we decided to make Death Valley the largest solar farm on the planet? Think about that. How many people would that employ? Just to build the solar panels and also to keep them maintained. We need to do projects like do interstate rail system, high-speed rail system. How many millions of people would that employ? And just to maintain that system. And what's frustrating to me is we all know what the answers are. Yet, instead of pushing for the policies that we know will work, we're still trying to go back to the 1930s and 40s. And it's too late for that. Those jobs are dead. That era is dead. And no matter how much we try to beat that dead horse, it's not going to come back. Trump talked about making America great again, right? And it's a typical tool used by authoritarians to try to create this sense of nostalgia. But I disagree with making America great again. I think what we need to be doing is making America better.